Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Winanti, and in this occasion, I will present about the second project of applied linguistics. So, this is the first problem. Mr. Thompson is a linguist studying the use of language in news reporting. He is particularly interested in how language can convey bias, shape public opinion, and influence the perception of news events. Mr. Thompson analyzes articles from various news outlets covering the same events to identify linguistic patterns that may indicate bias. He also considers the impact of these linguistic choices on the audience understanding and interpretation of the news. So, what the question? What linguistic features should Mr. Thompson focus on to identify bias in news reporting? Discuss at least 3 and explain how they can contribute to bias reporting. So, to solving this problem, Mr. Thompson to identify bias in news reporting, Mr. Thompson should focus on the following linguistic features. The first feature is about negative words and subjective words. The use of negative words like illegals instead of undocumented immigrants can create a biased tone. This choice of words can degrade the immigrants and induce a negative value. Subjective words like terrorist instead of insurgent, can also be biased. These words can create a negative perception of the group being referred to. The second feature is about factive verbs and implicative verbs. Verbs that imply a fact, such as "it is known that," can create a sense of objectivity. However, if used excessively, they can also create a biased tone by implying that the fact is universally accepted. And implicative verbs that imply a conclusion, such as "it is clear that," can also create a biased tone by implying that the conclusion is universally accepted. And the last is hedges. Words like may, might, and could can create a sense of uncertainty. However, if used excessively, they can also create a biased tone by implying that the information is uncertain or unreliable. Okay, and the next features is epistemological bias. This type of bias involves the use of language that implies a particular perspective or worldview. For example, using words like "it is believed that" can create a sense of uncertainty, but if used excessively, it can also create a biased tone by implying that the information is uncertain or unreliable. These linguistic features can contribute to bias reporting by creating a particular tone or perspective that influences the audience understanding and interpretation of the news. Now we are moved to the second problem. Okay. Imagine you are a language planner working for the government of a country with a diverse linguistic landscape. The country has several indigenous languages spoken by different ethnic groups, as well as dominant national language used for official purposes. Your task is to develop a language policy that promotes linguistic diversity while ensuring effective communication and national unity. The question is, how can the government promote the use and preservation of indigenous language through education? Solving this problem, they promote the use and preservation of indigenous languages through that education. The government can implement the following strategies. So the first strategies can use multilingual education. The first is about mother tongue instructions. Teach students in their native language, especially in the early years, to ensure they understand the curriculum effectively. And the second, trilingual education. Offer education in a national language, a local language, and a global language like English to facilitate communication and cultural understanding. The second strategy is about local expertise and research materials. There is local co-teachers. Engage local experts as co-teachers to provide cultural and linguistic language, ensuring that the curriculum is relevant and inclusive. The second is locally produced materials. Use locally produced research materials in a local language and enhance learning and promote cultural diversity. And next, the third strategy is immersion and cultural orientation. Language immersion. Set aside special times and places for students to practice their language skills in an immersion environment. Cultural orientation is provided in in-depth cultural and language orientation program for all new teachers and administrators to ensure they understand the local context and culture. So the fourth strategy is community engagement and support. Here, community involvement such as engage parents, grandparents, and community members in language learning and cultural activities to reinforce the use of heritage languages. And supportive environment can create a supportive environment in schools that reinforce the wishes of parents and communities for language learning. This is the last strategies, linguistic and cultural competence. So there are professional development and culturally balanced materials. Professional development provide professional opportunities for educators to enhance their linguistic and cultural competence. And culturally balanced material ensure that educational materials are culturally balanced and promote the use of heritage language. So by implementing these strategies, the government can promote the use and preservation and national unity. Okay, so thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.